if you play the game the way you've always played it, you know what the outcome's gonna be. To change the outcome, we need to change the way we play the game. It's not unlike in 1968. There were 3 ways to go over high bars, all forward techniques: scissor, straddle, roll. And in 1968, a gentleman named Dick Fosbury literally turned his back on that tradition. He rose over the high bar backwards. He wins the Olympics. It takes the competition 8 years to copy him. 8 years later, 90% of high jumpers are doing what's now called, anyone know what this is called, if you can call it out? The Fosbury flop. Many of us know that, right? But there are 2 important things I want to point out about this picture. The first is, and this is relevant to us here, there's no new technology that suddenly makes it possible to go over the high bar backward in 1968. The technology was simply pads put on the other side of high bars. We were already laying those down 15 years before. So it begs the question, why didn't someone do this 4 years before, 8 or 12 years before? And what I propose is missing is the concept around the technology. Not an understanding of the technology itself, but the concept that we place on the technology that helps us understand the technology and how to change our behaviors to leverage the technology. So I'm going to introduce you to 5 concepts, we could call them 5 mindsets, that will help you find new options for ways of using the technology. The second thing is, as you use these mindsets, you're going to come up with ideas. And I hope that today, if you play along with me, if you write down ideas as they come up, you may have an idea. And how will you know that this potentially is a 4th option? Is if people who are smarter than you and I, who are more experienced than you and I, will tell us the idea is impossible. That's the sign that potentially it's a 4th option. Because we want our competitors to ignore and laugh at us. They're going to ignore and laugh at us because it's inconsistent with what they believe. They're going to say, every gold medal winner has gone over forward. Every trainer of every Olympic athlete has trained them to go over forward. We didn't have ESPN back then, but if we did, every pundit would say you go over forward. That is the only sign that potentially it's a 4th option, because if the people around you immediately understand why this idea will work, guess what? Your competitors will too. It's no longer a 4th option. Now, when do we come up with 4th options? I propose right now is an excellent time to do so. This is an optimal time to do so, because when the rules change, it creates possibilities to play the game differently, trends that are going to change the game. One is the next generation users, the next generation customers, the next generation employees. They want something different than prior generations do. We've got, of course, digital transformation. As technology evolves more quickly, the ability of our organizations and cultures to keep up with the pace of technological change is getting frustrated. The ability to provide more personalized experiences, and therefore the expectation from our employees, the internal people we support, and our customers for a more personalized experience. Tech substitutes for physical things. We've got cybersecurity growing, in part because we have a lot more data and other geopolitical forces. We've got decentralized finance and data, blockchain-enabled smart contracts, and the rest affecting operations and also introducing currencies, artificial intelligence and big data analytics together that are enabling us to create insights and informing how our actions should be in ways that people don't trust, because our data analysts can't explain why that's the right answer. We've got a growth in P2P and platform business models. We've got IoT devices becoming less expensive, more accessible, and we're able to now collect data from lots of different places, which is why we have smart offices and smart factories and smart farms. We've got regulatory uncertainty and geopolitical uncertainty, and then we've got a long, slow decline in loyalty. That's a decline in loyalty of customers to brands and also of employees to employers. And what COVID has done is not so much introduce new trends, but accelerated these trends. And so it really, I think, puts us in the cusp of this question, this opportunity is, how are we going to play the game? Do we keep playing the old game, or do we start playing the new game? Do we keep going over the high bar forward, or do we learn to go over the high bar backward? The people who will create the future will be the people who think differently. I call them the outthinkers.